All right, ladies and gentlemen, it is your favorite warlock, practicing necromancer. And today I want to talk to you about the do's and don'ts of learning any tradition. First off, never beg a practitioner to teach you. It comes across as weak and pathetic. First thing, don't do it. You'll be ignored every time. Second thing, second thing of the do's and don'ts. No one's going to do the work for you. You have to do the work yourself. You want to learn about a tradition? Go out, get the materials. Go out and get the materials and begin learning, taking notes, experimenting, building the altars of those traditions. Delve into those traditions. Invoke or evoke the spirits of those traditions. No one's going to do it for you. No one. Okay? Third, only way somebody will do something for you is if you pay them to do it for you. Okay? For an example, if you come to me wanting a ritual to be done, I will give you the prices of that particular type of rite or ritual that you want done. If it is a curse, anything of hexcraft, be it a jinx, a curse, or a hex, you're looking at $300. If you want a phylactery, such as an amulet or a talisman, that's $150. Okay? You will pay me for my time. You will pay me for the reimbursement of the materials that I expel to do that job for you. I will not do it any other way. Okay? And no other practitioner is going to do that either. Not Eric Coetting, not Bokor Leonard Elmira. No one. That's the thing about consumerism, supply and demand. You demand, I have the supply. Okay? Just like them, just like you. Okay? Three things right there, the do's and don'ts. But here it is. It does not matter if you're working with the Orisha, the demons, the Jinn, the Devi. You have to learn what they like. If you're working with the dead, such as in necromantic rites and rituals, you have to understand what it takes to be a practitioner of necromancy. You have to be fully committed to that path. If you're into Voodoo, get back to the original sources. New Orleans is great. It's all hocus pocus. Go back to Haiti. Go back to Nigeria, Ethiopia, Malawi, and you'll find truer sources of voodoo. Personally, my favorite is Haitian voodoo. You want to get into Satanism? Learn the creed. Self preservation, the highest law. Second law, everything is good unless it violates the golden rule, self preservation. You see, a Satanist would not do anything that would harm him or herself. Look at the nine satanic sins. Most of today's Satanists, or those who claim to be Satanists, don't even follow them. the 9 satanic statements, the 11 satanic rules of the earth, the 21 satanic points, the 11 adversarial doctrines if you're Luciferian. Wow. All this entire creed, this code to live by. If you have not applied it to your life and live each and every word of it, you're not a Satanist. It's there for a reason. What was it that Anton Szandor LaVey said? True knowledge is power. Knowledge is power, but true power is absolute wisdom. It is your responsibility to learn for yourself. It is your responsibility to delve into things that you can easily do yourself. Why would you go to somebody else and say, hey, can you teach me how to be a Satanist? Most Satanists of the old school level will sit there and say, you're either born a Satanist or you're not. You go to a witch or a warlock. There are 3 levels of witchcraft types: those who are naturally born, those who are book learned, and those who are taught. Okay? Every tradition has its creeds. Every tradition has its own standards, its own ways of doing things. But the one thing that every tradition has, and even the JCI, that's the Judo Christian Institutions, will tell you your responsibility is to yourself, to your own growth, maturity, and enlightenment process. Okay? No one else's. For an example, in the 9 satanic statements, it says, do not tell others your problems unless they want to hear it. Okay? Same with Christianity. It's ironic, really, because I was talking with an apostolic minister last year, the guy that got me into the ministry to begin with, or I should say the guy that not only got me into the ministry, but turned my attention to the ministry back in 2009, looked at me and said, he and I were talking, and I said, your issues are your own, right? Therefore, my issues are my own, so why would you go to somebody else? And he looked right at me and he said, exactly. That's all he said. Exactly. One word. Wow. How hard is it to keep to yourself? How hard is it to delve into the materials? You know how many materials there are out there? We literally live in a time where knowledge is at it, literally right here, keystroke away. But yet the level of knowledge and IQ is dropping because nobody wants to do the work. They want it handed to them. A golden spoon. Here you go. Wow. Let me put it to you this way. I'm going to get under here real fast. I'm going to go to message requests. I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 right now under here. And that's just my messenger. That's just the messenger account. Ironic, isn't it? I've been in this game for over 30 years. To see where it was when I first began at age 11 to where I'm at now at 44 is a huge, huge polar opposite effect. Everybody's in it for popularity. Everybody's in it for the money. Everybody's in it to say, look at me. I'm the fucking bad guy. Back in the day, we grit our teeth. We grit our teeth. We rolled up our sleeves. We spent every fucking day at the local library pounding the pencil or the pen to that paper. You don't see that level of dedication today. You don't see that commitment or that dedication, that self-motivation today. Everybody thinks that it's this or that. It's now about sex. It's now about orientation. It's more about who likes what. It's more about politics today. It's no longer about the practice of the old school arts. Everything is corrupted. It's watered down. Nobody wants to get up and actually do the work. In 6 years of just being a practicing necromancer, 6 years, that's 4 years dedicated to this path. I've written 7 essays. 7 essays of over 4,000 words on various different aspects of necromancy. From what it is, to the gods, to the tools, to the practices, to the people, to the priesthood. Worldwide. In 4 years. 7 essays. 7. Do you know how much research, cross-referencing that takes? How much time, how many hours I've spent in front of books, at the library, right here on Google? Even getting advice from my elders. There's always something to learn. Always something that you've overlooked. And even today, I'm still gathering materials, knowledge for another essay. And this one's on things like tomb necromancy, grave totems, different relics and perspectives and symbolism of the grave. I just did a video earlier this afternoon in my personal group on Facebook that only a select few can attend and see. I was talking about different symbols. They're on gravestones and headstones. Things like mausoleums and tombs. Things that are found in them. Different types of practices between the medical community and the old school priesthood. And I got to thinking about this, how lazy this society has become to where everything is corrupted and watered down compared to where it was just 30 years ago, 3 decades ago. It is sad to see how far down society and the educational institutions have gotten today, to where it's more about this than it is about putting food in the stomach of a child, where it's no longer about education but about a political movement. It's more about morality and money than it is to help somebody with a mental condition, such as PTSD. Recently, within the last couple of weeks, we had a shooting here in Maine, in southern Maine. An ex-military went to the base down south in Portland for help. He was turned away. The causality of this is because of their actions. Kids and adults are dead. Because it's about this. Grown adults can't even go to get their teeth done in dental clinics because they have MaineCare, Medicaid, or Social Security income. So it comes down to this yet again. If you go to work and you're in the workplace and you're disabled, you can't be a shift lead. You can't be a manager. You can't even move up in rank in a workplace because they will deny you it. Even though the work related government codes clearly states equal rights. And under the Social Security Act, by the way, it says that a company has to promote you. Okay? Just letting you know that. Because I mentioned disabled. Okay? It does not matter if you're on SSI or SSDI. Okay? Social Security Disability. A company, it does not matter if you're in a wheelchair or if you are on crutches, those walking crutches. A company has to promote you. They cannot prevent you from moving up in the company and or making a living. Okay? It's called equal rights. And by the way, they promote, according to state law, they have to promote by seniority. Seniority, which means if you've been there longer than anyone else, they have to promote you before them. Otherwise, you can take them to court and sue the living shit out of them. Okay? So this is why education is a good thing, ladies and gentlemen. You see, you have to take the initiative into your own hands. You have to take the initiative and learn for yourself. No one else is going to do it. Because in today's age, everybody is out for themselves. It's called cover your own ass. I don't want to get sued, so I'm not going to help you. But as educators, it is our duty to educate people. You don't have to, let me put it to you this way. There is a difference between doing the work for somebody and guiding them to something that will benefit them so that they can do the research and study themselves. Okay? And eventually the work themselves. There's a huge difference. If you come to me and you say, teach me how to be a Satanist, I'm not going to teach you to be a Satanist. I will give you sources. Say, check out people like Alistair Notch. He's written 11 books. Good guy. I've had talks with him. Good guy. Level-headed, definitely knows his shit. Read Anton Szandor LaVey's works. You'll get a firm grasp on that philosophy and what it means to be a Satanist. I mean, the Devil's Notebook or Satan Speaks, two of the best books on essays that he wrote. The Satanic Bible that he wrote. Philosophy with literally the second half is left open for interpretation. But don't be a fucking idiot and go, well, I'm going to do pride, but oh wait, I'm going to forget about past orthodoxies. Okay. That's called hypocrisy and duality. They're there for a reason, and even Anton Szandor LaVey said it himself, that when one takes over, another shall take its place. So you're constantly growing and learning from your mistakes. That's called enlightenment. It's called growth. personal growth. A question was put forth a while back. Am I still associated with a certain group? The answer is yes. That group does not do my work for me. I do the work for me. You want to know why I have all this knowledge? It is because I do the work myself. It is because I learn from the resources and the references that have put me on the path. Yes, there have been a few instances where a couple of practitioners, like, say, um, Frank White from the Serpent of the Grail, okay, he put me on the path to the Shem priesthood. He mentioned them because I had spent a year trying to figure out anything on Egyptian, necromancy. And he mentioned the Shem priesthood. So I started delving into that, and that led me right up through the Middle East. That led me over into Slavic and Russian practices, right down into Haitian Voodoo and the African Caribbean traditions that I practiced 10 years ago. Ironic how that happens. The Ouroboros, either the serpent or the dragon eating its own tail, think of that as your constant growth cycle. When you pick up an onion, I want you to look at that onion and say, the outer level is my current level. Peel the top layer off. Oh, look, another level. Let's master that level. Tear off the next level. Oh, look, another one. I get to learn more. Go further. There are different degrees as a practitioner that takes you from a beginner to an expert. You can't just pick up a book one day and go, oh, I'm a master of darkness. No. You don't pick up a book and get interested in something and go, well, guess what? I'm a magistrate. I'm the Black Pope. No, it don't work like that. You have to earn your right. You have to earn those titles. And a lot of times, it's beings like Belial that will bestow those titles upon you. And if you're associated with any given group, be it the Temple of Astarte, the Church of Satan, the TST, the Joy of Satan, you're going to start as a neophyte, an acolyte, a beginner. And you're going to prove to your elders that you know what you're doing, that you have a sound foundation about what you're doing. The same thing if you join a coven in Wiccan or pagan practices. There's a priest and priestess at the top, and they will guide you along your path, but they will not do the work for you. You have to earn your degrees. You have to earn your stature. And when you start doing videos like this, you're responsible for the things that you do and say. Okay? That means that when you speak on a topic, when you speak on any given topic, you have to give references to back up what you're saying. But you also have to make yourself available to the public because you answer to the spirits that you work with. You answer to your elders who are above you in rank and title, but you also have to answer to the people. That is how it works. And humbleism is always a good thing. Always. When you don't know something, admit it. Be a man. Be a man. Step up to that ball game. Go. Um, I honestly, I honestly don't know what you're talking about, but give me like a day or two and let me do some research into it. So yeah, fun, fun, fun. Learning is always fun, and when you get a lifestyle going, and you you delve into that knowledge and you start applying it to your life and to your practices, you'll be amazed at what people will think about you. You'll notice certain people that you've never even met have heard your name. You know, back when, and I've said this in other videos, when I worked for Tractor Supply, I met a pagan that I worked with. She and I had a lot of good conversations. And when I left and went to work for Duncan, I heard about this new pagan store, one city over, right across the river. So the first time I went over to that store, and I started asking questions about certain products that I didn't see there. And the owner looked at me and she says, "You work with this person over at Tractor Supply, didn't you?" I go, "Yeah." "Oh, she speaks highly of you." Or you go to pump gas and somebody says, "Hey, do you have a business card?" And you give it to him. He's, "Jesus Christ, I thought you were a fucking ghost." You see, when you start putting that lifestyle and that knowledge forth, and people will see it, they will acknowledge it because you're backing it up. You're living by example. But we're not going to do the work for you. We can guide you. There's an old proverb which says you can lead a horse to water, but you cannot make him drink. That's fact. That's truth. You cannot tell somebody, "Hey, Jesus Christ is Lord." Really? Says who? Says who? Okay. Well, Satan is the king of this world. Really? Says who? How do you know if you don't get into that philosophy, learn about it, get to know these entities and these spirits that you work with? You see, this is the reason why I'm called an archdevil, an antichrist, a demon, evil, vile, is because I dare to question. I dare to seek out that knowledge. I dare to go against the normality and become something more. I don't do it for anybody else. I do it for me. Doing these videos is a way to help those who want to learn, who want to grow, to become more, to become better. That is a good thing. You see, I only look to help those who seek to grow themselves because they've said, "To hell with society. I'm done with this BS. It's the same old shit, just another fucking day." Those few who truly want to learn, you're the reason why I do this. The rest of you, you're just fans. You like what I do because I dare to. You're attracted to the darkness, or what is classified as dark. Some of you are scholars, like myself. People who seek that knowledge and think, "Hey, this guy knows what he's doing. He knows what he's talking about. He's giving numerous sources. Wow, I want to delve into these sources and I want to learn." A good thing. That is a good thing. But a lot of you that follow my page, we don't even interact. You're subscribed because you like what I do. Those few who I interact with ask questions. They want to learn, they engage. A good thing. If you do not ask the question, how do you expect to get the answer? Just saying. But I'm going to get off here. I've said my piece. This has been the do's and don'ts of any tradition. If you like what I do, feel free to hit that notification and subscribe button. Always welcome. I live my life by two codes, two creeds, two rules. The answer to that is plain and simple. Whatever you preach, always back up, and whatever you and always make yourself available to the public because you answer to the public and to the deities, like I said. Those are the two highest rules that I follow. See, a lot of people think that I follow Satan. I am aware of Satan. I'm aware of Lucifer, and I'm aware of most of the demons of the Goetic proportion. But I don't work with them. I work with an offshoot, someone beings far older. And for the record, Satan is not a bad guy. If you actually follow the Bible, you'll notice that number one, he's an enlightener. He's fulfilling an office, a duty. For an example, if we go to Job chapter 1, and since you brought up why do you believe Satan, this is why. The Bible says in Job chapter 1 that Satan strolled into God's kingdom, into Jehovah's kingdom. Jehovah says, hey, where the fuck have you been? And Satan said, here and there, basically. Just wandering around. By the way, do you know your people aren't living right for you? Well, God says, okay, have you thought about my humble servant Job? You can do whatever the fuck you want to do to him, but you cannot kill him. You cannot kill him. Right? That's what he says, chapter 1. Well, Job lost his entire family, his livestock, his business, and his friends turned against him, right? But he died of old age. Christians today will sit there and tell you flat out Satan is a murderer. Satan only wants to kill you, he wants to hinder you. Really? Then let's take a look at the New Testament, shall we? Matthew chapter 4. Okay? Matthew chapter 4, verse 4, verse 7, and verse 10. It was Satan that took Jesus Christ, the man, as in Jesus of Nazareth, to all these locations and said, if you bow down to me, I will grant you all of this. Okay? So first, we see the Hebrew variation, okay, in the Old Testament. Job chapter 1, he's fulfilling the office of accuser. Accuser. Not murderer, accuser. The second, New Testament, chapter 4, book of Matthew, Mark, Luke, and yes, even John. Although in John, I think it's chapter 3. But here it is. It says, and I quote, that Jesus of Nazareth turned him down. Okay? Turned him down, flat out. This shows that he was fulfilling the office of tempter. Wow. Such a fucking murderer now, isn't he? He's such a bad guy, a rebel. Whew. But a lot of people think that the serpent in the Garden of Eden was Satan. Okay? So let's take a look at this. If you follow Hollywood produced films like the TV show Lucifer, he was known by Beelzebub, Samael, and everything, and was in Lucifer, okay? Considered to be the serpent in the garden. Now, according to that, he slept with Eve. Okay? But let's take a look at the biblical version of this. The serpent looked at Eve and said, enjoy the apple. Here's an apple. Enjoy it. It's fruit. She said, oh, we're forbidden to eat from this. We will die. We'll literally die. No, you won't. You won't die. You'll grow. So she eats, gives it to her husband, Adam. He eats. They become self aware. They become intelligent, no longer slaves to a God that wants them to be unhindered, to be subservient in general. Okay? So by the time God decides to stroll through the garden, he realizes, hey, why are you hiding from me? Well, what was it they said? Oh, right. We were naked, so we hid ourselves and made fig leaves of our genitalia. Wow, he's such a fucking murderer. But yet, how did a serpent become a dragon? Interesting how that is, since a snake is not a dragon. And the punishment of a snake is to slither on its belly. Number one, isn't that what they do? They do that to begin with. So why would that be a punishment to a snake? Let's go to the book of Genesis. Let's go to the book of Revelations. In the book of Revelations, when the dragon, Leviathan, is set loose, it says that this is Opal, my familiar. She's the newest member to my family, so she wanted some airtime. It says, oh, this serpent of mine, this old serpent of mine. Okay. Well, let's go further into the Bible, shall we? Book of Revelations, chapter 22, verses 18 and 19, or 19 and 20, depending on the type of Bible you have, because there's different denominational Bibles. There's different Bibles, like the Gideon, the American, the NIV, and all that fun stuff. So it says, if any man adds or takes away from this book, the same shall be done out of the book of life. Okay. Is that why you keep rewording the Bible? For your God? Is that why you went on a mass murdering spree with men in the name of God? Is that why you slaughtered and butchered cultures in your God's image? Okay. 2 Corinthians chapter 4, verse 4, it uses a little g. Okay. Not the big G. And it says that Satan is the God of this world. And that's the New King James Version, by the way. I also have the King James Teacher's Reference Edition. So, and I have all the materials from the 1980s collection as well. So, what's interesting here is that a lot of people put a lot of stock in God being this omnipotent being. But yet, who was it that sent Satan after Job? Who was it that sent the archangel Michael after to slaughter all these people? Who was it that sent two angels to Sodom and Gomorrah? Who was it that put his own son to death? Who was it that burned witches at the stake, hung them from trees? Who was it that created entire armies, such as the Knights of Templar, to the Christian priesthoods to condemn so-called blasphemers? It was not Satan. That was Jehovah. That was Yahweh. That was God. And who was it that destroyed the world with a flood? Oh, right. That was your God too. Hmm. Okay. Who threatened Armageddon, but not by flood? All right, that was God. Hmm. And who acts out of jealousy, spite, and hatred? Not Satan. That was God. But yet he'll send everybody to their death just to say, "Oh, my hands are clean." Now look at his followers, the JCI, the Judo Christian institutions. These people have butchered, raped, murdered, and conquered cultures in the name of their God, and literally sentenced people to death for having a different opinion. Hmm. And yet, if you look at mythology, you look at anthropology, you look at folklore, archaeology, you look at just about everything, isn't it ironic that it doesn't go along with the Christian doctrine? But yet, if you actually take the doctrine and go into history, you'll notice that it comes from much older traditions, not cut up and add into a book that doesn't make any fucking sense. For an example, let's talk the sons and daughters of Belial found in the Old Testament. Ironically, that little passage there came from the Dead Sea Scrolls. The Dead Sea Scrolls, spoken of in Sanskrit, specifically that of the Scroll of Amrin. Hmm. And it was more about politics than about religion. Michael versus Satan. Michael is the leader of the sons of light and daughters of light, whereas Belial is the leader of the sons and daughters of darkness. Hmm. What happened to those 3 days where Jesus supposedly died? Let's go back to the 16th, 17th century, and you'll see a little thing called the poetical texts. Okay, this shows where Beelzebub, the Lord of Flies, was removed and Satan was put on the throne. So this ultimate bad guy that's been around for 2,500 years. Wow, interesting how you go back to the Jewish Haggadah and you see where Satan is a Grigori, and not just any Grigori. He was the chief of the Watcher Angels, the first class of angelic beings. You go to the book of Enoch and you see where Azazel went to Shemyaza, Shemyaza, and you see a different opinion of where they made a pact to take mortal women as their wives because they were lonely. When did it become a shame and a sin to want to be with somebody? Hmm. Ironically, ironic, isn't it? But yet, what does it say in the Bible? A man shall leave his mother and father and cleave unto his own wife, and they shall become one flesh. So, why would you condemn an angel for doing the exact same thing? Hmm. Interesting, right? Okay. Yet, with the Nephilim and these angels, these watcher angels who took wives for themselves, who produced offspring, we also see this in numerous other texts, such as the Book of Giants. Hmm. We see that the whole goat sacrifice was found in the Yip Kippur, which is a Jewish text, a ceremonial text. Okay. This particular text shows where one goat was gutted and skinned, the entrails left on the altar, the blood was put in a vase, an urn, and the meat was burned alive. Wow. Talk about a blood sacrifice to Yahweh. And supposedly, according to the book of Leviticus, underneath the burnt offerings, that this gave him a woody, a fucking boner because it turned him on. He loved the smell of rotting meat. Ironic how that worked out, right? Yeah. But yet, all these other traditions who do the same thing is considered of devil worship. Talk about hypocrisy and duality. I mean, let's take the Gaelic Druids for an example. They performed human sacrifices, where a human would be tied down to an altar and the blood would go through these little slits in the stone to a hole where a priest is underneath holding an urn, a vase, to collect all that blood. Let's take the Aztecs who sacrificed human beings to the sun god, Inti. Even the Mayans did it. Ironic, huh? Much older cultures than Christianity performed human and animal sacrifices. But yet, people deny the Christians do it. People say, well, we never did that in the name of our God. Really? Then you claim to, do you believe everything that's in the Bible? Yes. Really? Then what about the book of Leviticus? What about the book of Hebrew? Okay. What about all the ceremonies that take place in the symbolatry? Okay. You claim that spirituality doesn't exist, that it's all about science and mental health, but yet your own Bible shows numerous things like Jacob's ladder. Okay. We don't delude ourselves of this duality. The one thing I can say about Satan, as a practicing Satanist for 30 years before becoming a necromancer, is this: Satan and the demonic, they are guardians, they are protectors, they're enlighteners. And not once have they lied. Not once did they teach you something and go, oh, by the way, this is now a sin. No. That's only the JCI, the Judo Christian institutions. So you sit here and you ask me, why do I believe Satan? This is why. Because he has never gone back on his word. Those who follow him have never gone back on their word. They've always been there when I needed them. When I petitioned them for their aid in any given situation, they worked in the background while I did things in the physical. And guess what? I'm much better for it because of their aid. And you know what's funny? You go to a church and they'll help you until you're a member. And then it's fuck you. They would rather send all their fucking money to their bank. Every church has at least $10,000 sitting in their bank account. They have their own fucking city. Some ministers own their own football fields, have an entire chain of churches. Their doctrine is so easily spun into a web of lies and deceit that people eat it up like it's nothing. They train youth from birth to be bullies, sneaks, and liars. Satan only teaches reality. He teaches you to be an individual. He doesn't hide anything. He doesn't play fucking games. That's why I choose to follow him. That's why I work with demons. And the funny thing is, my ex, my son's mother, and I find this funny as all hell. Everything she touches turns to shit. Her own parents, she has to make an appointment for just to see them. And now she's at that point where it's like, I don't even want to go to Thanksgiving dinner with them. Why? Because of this little girl right here. Because she chose to get it to bring her home, to be a part of the family. And you know what? You want to make it about a dog. You want to make it about about who you're dating or who you're with that treats you like gold. That ain't right. Her parents hated me because she prospered 10 times more under my tutelage as her mate and as the father to her son. Even my own son is better off. We have 4 cats and this little pup here. The family keeps on growing. And you know what? Every time she's come to me, I've made shit happen. And that's because of the knowledge that the demonic gave me. You go to church, they'll just ignore you. Ministers won't even help you. Well, you got to pray more. Go down to that altar, pray more, pray more, pray more. Really? Eventually, you're going to have to get off your ass and do something. Who got the job for you? Who filled out the application for a job? Was it you or God? No. It wasn't an angel. It wasn't God. It was you who filled out that application. It was you who sat down with the person for an interview. It was you who got that job because you're the one that went out and got it. You sought it out. How would you eat if you didn't prep a meal for yourself? Did you wipe your own ass or did somebody else? You see the point? Because I can do this all day long. So you ask me, why do I believe in Satan? Why do I believe in the demonic? Because every time I've been there and needed something, they've been there. Or they've gotten me in touch with somebody who can help me out, who has the knowledge to lead me in the right direction. And the thing is, angels are warriors. They're messengers, nothing more. They're servants, like knights to a king. But what good is a king that has no worshippers? They sit there and go, you're going to go to hell. You're going to go to hell. Really? I'll see you there. You sit there and go against your own doctrine. We don't. Those creeds are there to live by. And when you give your oath, they take it as seriously as you do. And if you don't live up to those oaths, they will. They are responsible for you just as much as you are responsible for those that you train. And if you don't take responsibility for your own wrongdoings, your own shit, then it's nothing but chaos. And now you have so many denominations that everybody believes that they are following the one true God. It's nothing more than chaos. It's unbalanced. This is why most of the world is sitting there going, I don't want anything to do with you. I don't see a satanic Bible in the hand of somebody being sworn into office. I don't see a Wiccan Bible or the witch's Bible being used to swear somebody into office. When you go to court or you go onto the inauguration of somebody being sworn in as president or senate or even a district attorney, you don't see somebody being sworn in by one of these other Bibles. No. You only see the Christian Bible. Do you swear to tell the whole truth and nothing but the truth, so help me God? Wow. And even that is becoming political these days. So now, I would rather follow Satan and the demonic than I would of your God. Plain and simple. It has nothing to do with your doctrine. It has everything to do with the people and what you do. I've traced most of the Bible back to its original sources. You want to know about Satan? Get into the Talmud, the Zohar, the Munich manuscripts. Get into the Jewish Haggadah. Get into these old scripts. For an example, if you take all the Bibles and you go back to the first Bible, 16th century, 1604 to be precise, you'll notice it goes back to what is known as the Vulgate Bible. Now, the Vulgate Bible was actually a part of the Devil's Bible, the Codex Gigas. So you think you're serving an unknown a God that is so malevolent and omnipotent? Guess what? Who's serving who? What side do you really worship? Now, if all your Bibles goes right back and can be traced through history, 300 years, 400 years even, and go right back to the Codex Gigas, the AKA Devil's Bible, to which the Vulgate Bible was actually a part of, you're not serving Jehovah, Yahweh, Yeshua, Allah. Nah. You're nothing more than self-serving slaves. And this is why. If you've actually read the Quran, you would know that it was written by a man named Muhammad, and he wrote it for peace, understanding, and equality. Now, what were the Ten Commandments written on? Stone? By Moses? Now, I want you to take a look at your so-called Christian doctrine, your faith, in your churches, and I want you to look at how many of those Ten Commandments have you broken in your day-to-day life? How many how many how many of those have you actually lost? All right? But for now, I got to go outside and get my son. He just got here with his grandparents. So, I'll be on next time. Subscribe, put on those notifications. But you have your answer right there, buddy. All right? Have a good one. Opal, you want to go get your boy?